First, I want to go ahead and welcome everyone in that's watching. Today is Thursday, September 2nd, 2021, and we made it. We have made it to the beginning of college football, week one. I know week 0 was last week. It was actually really good watching a game on TV. It really was, and it beats watching old games on YouTube, which I do a lot. I love old games. I love watching old games. I think it's it's fun to watch. Some people don't like it. I do. But what we're going to be going over today is, and I'm going to be doing this throughout the season. So let me give you a little backdrop on what my plan is for the channel for this upcoming season and everything like that. So first off, with this week, with it being basically the start of the season for the most part for a lot, like 95% or some percentage of teams, each week I'm going to try to do 1 or 2 episodes at least. One's going to be a review of the previous weekend, and then towards the end of the week I'll release a preview for the upcoming games that weekend. I'm going to give you out my preseason top 10, and I'm going to update that throughout the season. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, especially preseason polls. We all understand that preseason polls are not what I could have a team in the preseason poll this year that's number 2, and they could just flop. Could never be ranked at the end of the season or even the top 10 or anything like that. Now, I'm not going to give any type of college football playoff ranking out until probably once that ranking gets out. I don't want to do anything like that. I'm not going to give my projection for the champion or anything like that. That's going to be later on in the season. I decided not to do that. Now, what we are going to do, especially today and throughout the season, is, of course, I'm going to update my top 10 throughout the season. I'm going to give my conference picks today, and then also throughout the season, I'm going to pick some of the games throughout the season. 4 or 5. I'm going to make those picks. I'm going to keep the record of those picks throughout the season. Now, also, which happens on a lot, I want to not just pick the top 10, opponents playing each other. I don't want to pick just ranked teams. I'm going to pick one game throughout the season as well that involves 2 unranked teams. And they may be smaller ranked teams. They might be like a lower group of 5 team. I don't know. We're going to see. More than likely, it's going to be something like that. And I'm going to keep keep the records of those and everything like that. I'm looking forward to that. And also, towards the end of the episode, I have a buddy of mine. He's coming on the He's come on the channel before. We talked NCAA basketball, doing the tournament and everything. Looking forward to that. Dylan Shafer's coming on, and he's going to give some of his picks on a couple other schools and everything like that. And we're going to talk a little conference realignment with the Big 12. He's a very big Big 12 guy. So we're going to get his opinions on some of that and everything like that. So anyways, without further ado, I do want to welcome you in to this episode. Like I said, today is Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. First, let's go ahead and start with my top 10. Now, as you see here on the screen, number 1, I have Alabama. Number 2, I have Oklahoma. Number 3, I have Clemson. Number 4, I have Georgia. Number 5, I have Ohio State. Number 6, I have Texas A&M. Number 7, I have Iowa State. Number 8, I have Wisconsin. I am very high on Wisconsin this year. Okay. Do I think they'll win the Big Ten? No, but I think they will give Ohio State a run for their money in the Big Ten. Moving on to number 9, I have Oregon. And number 10, I have Cincinnati. So let me go ahead and talk about Cincinnati real quick because I won't be able to talk about them really for the rest of the episode. I won't really have a chance to. Cincinnati is very appealing to me. I think they are the best Group of 5 team, hands down, bar none. Unless some injuries happen or, some other team comes around, I think they're the best Group of 5 team right now to begin the season. Now, people have asked me, do you think Cincinnati can make it to the college football playoff? I think they can. Now, if they want to get in the college football playoff, I think they have to definitely go undefeated, hands down. No one thinks they can get in with one loss, unless it's complete chaos, and we're talking 2007 chaos. I think they would have to definitely go undefeated. I think teams like Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, even Iowa State even, would have to have a loss or two for this to even happen before the committee really opens up and says, hey, man, we'll take an undefeated. Because I could still see him getting snubbed at 13-0. I really could. But I would not be surprised if they do go undefeated, but I don't think they will go undefeated. I think they're going to have a hiccup somewhere throughout their schedule. But we're going to be talking a lot about Cincinnati throughout the season. They're in my top 10 for a reason. I really like them, and I think they win their conference as well. Anyways, moving on to other conference picks. All right, so with ACC, I mean, everyone knows what I'm about to say here. You know, Clemson wins their division. I don't see Boston College. I don't see Florida State. I don't see Louisville. I don't see any of those teams really giving them a run for their money. Now, could Clemson slip up somewhere, especially at Pitt? You look about at NC State. Those are really the two games to me, looking at Clemson's schedule post-Georgia, that they could really slip up somewhere. And we've seen this happen with Clemson in the past. We've seen them slip up against Syracuse. We've seen them lose to Pitt a couple years ago. It's happened. And do not sleep on those road games. Now, a lot of times, Clemson, it seems to me that when they lose, it's when they have their backup in. Happened last year, which you played a great Notre Dame team. So I'm not knocking that one bit. Now, I think UNC wins the other division. I think they end up playing each other. Now, Clemson, I think, wins that. I am really high on UNC. If my poll was any bigger, I probably would have had them right around there. But they're a really good team. I am very high on UNC. I like what Mac Brown's done there. I think turned them around, took them to the next step. Now, with the ACC right now, you have Clemson, and then you have Miami, UNC, and then you got a cluster of other teams. So right now, it's still Clemson's league or conference, and I think it continues to that. But I do like what some of the teams are doing. I like what Boston College, I think they're in the right direction. Now, will they ever compete yearly with Clemson? No. Florida State's in the right direction. We're going to talk a little bit more about Florida State here in a little bit. But right now I have Clemson beating UNC to win the ACC. Now, in the Big Ten, and I talked about Wisconsin a little bit ago, I have Wisconsin playing Ohio State. Now, I like Ohio State in this. I think Clemson will I think Wisconsin will give them a run for their money. But I do have Ohio State winning that. Going to the Big 12, I have, of course, Oklahoma and Iowa State. Now, they do play late in the season in November, so they're going to have to more than likely play unless something happens with one of these teams, like if, Brock Purdy gets hurt or something like that would be the only thing I could see Iowa State not getting there. Now, schedule-wise, I like them. They don't play Oklahoma until November. They do have a stretch there in the end, but I do like Iowa State to come out and finish number 2 in the league and playing Oklahoma. But I do have Oklahoma winning that game. Now, moving on to the Pac-12, I have Oregon, who won it last year, and I have them playing Utah out of the South. Now, a lot of people have USC in this spot. I think USC will have a good team this year. I think they will be improved. I know they made it last year in a COVID-shortened season. But I like Utah. I really do. I have to go with Utah. But, hey, if USC somehow gets there, hey, it'll go on my, Ryder was wrong section, and we'll call it a day on that. But I like Utah, but I do like Oregon winning the Pac-12. Now, in the SEC, we have Alabama and Georgia for those picks. I have Alabama winning that. I think it would be a damn good game. And we're going to talk more about these two teams here in a second. I do have Alabama winning that. Now, going to the top games for this weekend. This is, I think, opening weekend games. These are some really good games. Really good games. I mean, we have games Thursday. We have games Friday. We have games Saturday, Sunday, and Monday even. So I'm looking forward to this. Now, let's go to today. When later on tonight, Ohio State goes to Minnesota. Now, I will say this: don't sleep on the Golden Gophers. But I think Ohio State wins. I think they're a 14-point favorite anyway. I like Ohio State in this. I think Ohio State might start maybe slow. You could see that happening. And then I think they end up pulling away. I like Ohio State in this. I do think they cover. Now, moving on to Saturday's games. You have number 1 Alabama and number 14 Miami. Now, let me go ahead and point this stat out here for you. Let me read this off to you, and I'll post it here on the screen. This is from an ESPN article I read today. I mean, the Crimson Tide have not only beaten ACC teams badly in neutral site openers since 2013, but they sucked the life out of them for the rest of the season. In 4 such openers against Virginia Tech in 2013, Florida State in 2017, Louisville in 2018, Duke in 2019, the Tide had won by an average of 29.5 points. The Seminoles were the only team that stayed within 3 touchdowns, losing 24-7 in Atlanta. Each of those 4 ACC teams went on to lose at least 5 games. So, can Miami fall into that trap? I think they can, but they won't. Okay? I really am confident about this Miami team. I think it's one of the better Miami teams in a long time. You know, we're going to see what type of team Miami is. Can they challenge UNC in that division? We'll see on how they play this game. We know what Alabama's capable of. Now, what is Miami capable of? I think if Miami comes out and plays Alabama really good, you know, and keeps the game close, they don't have to win. Now, winning would just be a, cherry on top. But Miami, I don't think really has to win. Now, the goal was to win the game, of course. The goal was to win. But if Miami comes in and loses by less than a touchdown and keeps this game close, that's, I feel like, a big win for Miami mentally. I really do. I have Alabama winning. And the one thing that we know about Alabama Nick Saban is they cover. I think they cover in this. I think they end up pulling away at the end. I think Alabama wins. But I don't think Miami falls into that trap of those other ACC teams. But only time will tell. I think Miami still has a good season, though. I think they finished around about 9 wins this year. I think they have a pretty good year. So, moving on. This is my game of the week with a lot of other people. Okay, Clemson, number 3 Clemson, neutral site in Charlotte versus number 5 Georgia. Now, this game, man, I am super excited for this game. I keep thinking about this game. I cannot wait to watch this game, and I think it's definitely the game of the weekend, game of the week, whatever you want to call it. They play at 7:30 on Saturday, and Clemson right now is a 3-point favorite. Now, I got Georgia winning this. I really do. I'm picking Georgia to win this. So there's so many things that can happen in this game for both teams if one wins or loses. And we're going to kind of talk a little bit with that. Okay, so say Clemson does win. Okay, Clemson's schedule for the rest of the way is almost cupcake standard. It really is. And it's, they won't play anyone really. Like I said, there's those 2 games, those, possible trap games. If you're the Tigers, you got that game at NC State. You got a game at Pitt. It's happened. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could happen. So keep that in mind if you're a Clemson Tiger fan, because I mean they have Florida State, I believe, at home. Stuff like that. So I don't really see Clemson running into too many problems. They should run the table regardless, win or lose, on Saturday night. Now, if they lose to Georgia, and I think Georgia has a great season, so that's going to help Clemson out anyway, they would need some help. I think it's possible for them to get in 13-1 if they run the table, blow everyone out. Especially depends on how highly ranked a UNC or Miami team could be in the ACC championship game. So we'll see. But if you're Clemson, you have to win this game. I feel like in order to feel comfortable, and if not, I mean, you win. And we'll talk about it if Georgia loses as well. So say if Clemson wins, you should run the table. Now, if you win and you end up losing in that one of those trap games somewhere down the line, do you still get in? Possibly, yes. But a lot has to happen. A lot can happen throughout the season, so I don't want to speculate too much on that. Now, if Georgia would lose, all right, Georgia has the meat on the schedule to be able to withstand a loss, And I think that, Georgia has a schedule. I think if you're a Georgia fan, you like the schedule. Even though I think it's rated still in the, around 20th, give or take, I still think that it's a very favorable schedule for SEC standards. You got a neutral site against Florida. You can say Missouri, this and that. But for the most part, Georgia should take care of business the rest of the way and all the way to Atlanta. I think they will, regardless win or lose. But I have them winning this game. So I look forward to this game. I am super, super psyched for this game. And I know a lot of people are. Let's move on. Number 9, Notre Dame at Florida State. Now, we talked about Florida State a little bit. And I do like what Mike Norvell has done with Florida State so far. I think they're in the right direction. Really, this is year 1 for him. Last year, first season, COVID, no spring practice. Florida State was horrible last year. Terrible. 3-6. Couldn't really do anything. Now, Notre Dame does lose some talent, but Notre Dame does have more talent right now than Florida State does right now. But Florida State playing at Doak Campbell at night, anything could happen. Anything could happen. Do I think Florida State will win? They could. Do I think Florida State could win? Yes. Will they? No. But I will say this. And we talked about earlier with Miami, a feel good loss maybe. Florida State, I think, if they could somehow keep this game close, play Notre Dame very well, I think it's a win. I think if you really want to judge and see how the Florida State season is going to go, you got to look at this game. All right. If Florida State comes out and plays Notre Dame very, very well, loses within single digits, and it makes it a close game, that's a win for Mike Norvell and his group. And it's a win. Yeah, especially how last season was. I think you feel good about this season. You might not win 10 games, you might not win 8, but I think going to a bowl game for Florida State would be a win in that book. But I would not count out the Seminoles in this game. But I have Notre Dame winning this game. Now, for my unranked game that I'm going to pick this week, Ole Miss and Louisville. They play at 8 p.m. on Monday. Right now, Ole Miss is a 10-point favorite. I have Ole Miss winning this game. I think Louisville's much improved. I think Ole Miss is a good team as well. Lane Kiffin's got them going in the right direction. I have Ole Miss winning. I do think they cover. So I think Ole Miss wins that game. And then, like I said, those are my 5 picks for this week. Like I said, I'll keep tabs on the record on what the wins and losses for me. Now, coming up here shortly, I'm going to bring Dylan Shafer on. We're going to talk a little bit more Big 12. We're going to talk some expansion. And we're also going to pick a bonus game. I'm not going to tell you what the bonus game is right now. You will find out here shortly. Now, that will also go with the record as well. So stay tuned for that. And also a segment that I'm going to be doing each week as well, where I was right and where I was wrong. So you don't want to miss that. Now, early in the season, you might not have too much going on, but that will be a weekly thing as well. So I look forward to it. Before we go into break, make sure you click that subscribe, make sure you click like, and make sure you share the channel. It really helps the channel out, and I do appreciate anyone that tunes into this. I'm looking forward to a great season, but we'll be back here shortly. But anyways, I want to welcome back Dylan Shafer. We're going to talk a little bit more college football today. So he's going to give us his picks for this weekend, his top 10 for the season, for the preseason, and then also his conference picks. Welcome in, man. What's up?
Hey, thanks, man. Thank you for having me. Excited to be back.
Yeah, dude. So real quick, who do you have in your preseason top 10 before we get started?
Well, the top 10, I got Alabama at 1, Clemson at 2, Georgia at 3, Oklahoma at 4, Texas A&M at 5, which is pretty high on Texas A&M actually. Iowa State, another team I'm high on. They're at 6. I got Ohio State all the way down at 7 where they
Whoa,
belong. I got
whoa.
Cincinnati at 8, UNC at 9, and Notre Dame at 10.
Man, I did not see that when you sent that to me. I didn't see Ohio State that low.
Oh, I got them
But
low, but I'm gonna gain some Ohio State fans back at the end, so it's okay. We're
oh,
just gonna start them low.
did you say you had Cincinnati in that?
Yeah, Cincinnati at 8.
Are you?
Cincinnati's a good team.
How do you feel about Cincinnati? How do you like the chances of actually if they make it, if they go undefeated?
Well, see, that's my problem. I don't know if it's enough. They only play Notre Dame. That's the tough thing. Like they gotta have some action in front of them, which
So
would be really easy to happen actually. But I mean, maybe the playoff committee will view them differently this year. You know, coming off that big season last year, rolling into this year. I mean, maybe it's enough to get them in. I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked though if they got busted out they got snubbed out at 13-0.
I wouldn't either. I would not be surprised at all. I'd kind of resort back to this and kind of just be like, yeah, that's kind of what I think's gonna happen or could happen. But like they get fireworks in front of them, maybe they get in.
Yeah. All right. Well, so what I'm going to ask you, what we're going to talk about now a little bit is I want to know who you have per conference champions and everything. So now, who do you have with the ACC? Who do you have winning that?
Well, Clemson, obviously. I mean, that's the obvious pick. I think Miami and UNC can make a lot of noise, and I'd like to think that UNC is going to be right there at the top with them. And you know, like I said, but I'm gonna have to go Clemson on this matter. They play the easiest schedule in football.
Okay. Well, here's your chance to win some Ohio State fans back. Who do you have for the Big Ten?
The Big Ten, they're average this year, 5 ranked teams. Ohio State's like the only team in the top 10. I think they could cruise the conference a little bit, but it's Ohio State, so they always mess one up, and they're always on the fence. You know, the committee's always on the, trying to bail them out, and it's Ohio State. So.
I mean, listen, I think I like Wisconsin a lot out of
Yeah,
the Big Ten. I got Wisconsin in my top 10. I'm really
yeah,
high on the Badgers, but I don't think they're going to win the Big Ten. Though. I think Ohio State ends up winning the Big Ten, but I like
I'm with
Wisconsin.
you. I'm with you on that. Wisconsin's a good team, but they always stall out. Something always happens. They always have that one loss, that one half. It's always like if one game could have went differently for Wisconsin, Wisconsin would have been in a playoff or two already.
Yeah. No.
Like they're very close. Like they're like what they remind me of kinda is like Georgia before
You talking about the Mark Richt days?
yeah, I'm talking about the Mark Richt days, dude. I'm talking about when they were like scratching at the door but just couldn't quite get it done. That's kind of what Wisconsin reminds me of.
Okay. Well, hey man, listen. What this guy says, I love you, Wisconsin fans. I think listen, they're gonna have a great team this year. I have them in my top 10, like I said. I'm for the Badgers, but Ohio State ends up winning the Big Ten. But now the Big 12. The Big 12, sorry. Who do you have?
As bad as I want to pick Iowa State, and Iowa State could prove me wrong and win the conference, but Oklahoma is really good on paper. Obviously, their quarterback Spencer Rattler, I'm real high on him. I think he's going to be in New York at the Heisman ceremony this year, at least at a minimum. So I got to go Oklahoma just because the Big 12 is a little bit down this year. I mean, the Big 12 is more average, like we're deeper on the average spectrum, but as
Mhm.
far as heavy hitters, the Big 12 is a little light this year.
Okay. I had Oklahoma over Iowa State this year. Now,
Same.
a matchup to really, because I know they play in November.
They do. I have that
Iowa
on one
State
of
in
my
November.
matchups. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to ask you. I know you wrote and you got a bunch of marquee games throughout the season. I want to hear those as well. Now let's move on to the Pac-12. Who do you
The
have?
Pac the Pac-12, dude. I'm proud of the Pac-12, dude. They have 5 ranked teams here in the preseason, and they're spread out. You know, you got Oregon up there around the top 10. Like I could have made a case for Oregon to be in my top 10, and now that I think about it, I probably should have bumped Notre Dame or UNC for like Oregon or something because they're good. Like, the thing about Oregon, I have something on them here. What was that? Like, Oregon could be a top 10 team going to a New Year's Day bowl game this year. Like, they're legit.
I mean, I have Oregon right now. I have them number 9 in my poll. I
That's not a bad
think
spot for them.
no, man. I like them to win the Pac-12. I think it's gonna be them in Utah. I think
Dude,
Utah is gonna win the South. I really do. I'm high on the
Utah's
Utes.
Utes are a good team, dude. That's what's so awesome though, dude. The Big 12 After Dark this year is gonna be must see TV. So we're just gonna have to stay up and battle it out till 2 a.m. because they have 5 ranked teams as we speak. Like, they're gonna be duking it out every weekend. Like, it should be some good football. And USC, legendary USC, Clay Helton's like on the hot seat. Like, if they don't win 9 games, he's toast.
I mean, you got them. You got Washington. Washington's ranked. Arizona State. Herm Edwards.
Right.
I think this is one of the most exciting Pac-12 seasons that I've been
They've
excited for.
Same here. Like, the past couple years, I haven't been excited for Big 12 for the Pac-12, but now this year I think it's gonna be a little different. I think it's gonna be a good season for them.
All right. Well, rounding out the final one. What about the SEC? What do you got in there?
The SEC is
look.
it's a tough nut to crack, man. Because I mean, I want to say Alabama, because that's the team, like, that's the team to beat. That's who you want to be like if you're a football team. You want to be like Alabama.
Yeah.
But they actually have a pretty hard schedule. They play like 5 ranked teams in the preseason poll, and you know how that goes, dude. That 5 could turn into like 7 ranked teams. This could be one of the tougher schedules that Alabama's played in years past. So I really think like they could they could take an L and totally fall out of the conference championship picture and playoff picture, because you got UGA and Texas A&M, ready to go, and I'm gonna go with Georgia.
Ooh.
Just because I think there's gonna be some controversy in the SEC this year, so I'm just gonna go Georgia on this one.
Well, I mean, I picked Alabama over Georgia. Now, let me go ahead and say this real quick, and I don't know if you have this on one of your marquee games or not. There's 2 road games that Alabama has to go on. One, Texas A&M.
I have that on my list.
At Florida. I think Florida's week 3. They have to go into Gainesville. Now, we don't know what Florida's going to look like. Florida, replacing quarterback, replacing, Kyle Pitts. They're replacing a lot of talent on the offensive side, at least. And they kind of stumbled there at the end of the season last season. Now, anytime I think Alabama has to go into Gainesville, or I think, Gainesville, period, it's no win-win. I don't think it's guaranteed, no.
That place is crazy. I work with Gator fans down here in Florida. You think they eat, sleep, and breathe the Gators just like West Virginians do the Mountaineers. Like, that place is going to be absolutely rocking.
Now, do I think that they will win? I think Alabama ends up winning. I think the more tougher game is going to be the Texas A&M. I think Jimbo's got. I think they got Texas A&M. I love Texas A&M this year.
I do too. I like them a lot. Like that. That's why I think Oklahoma or Alabama has this such hard schedule. Georgia has a lot easier schedule than them. You got Texas A&M right there knocking on the door.
I think, compared to them, yes. I think, Georgia's schedule is a little bit weaker, but I think Georgia's roughly around like the 20th or 21st ranked schedule. But yes, Alabama having to go at Texas A&M, at Florida. You got to play LSU. You got to play who else?
Who's their other ranked game? I can't remember.
I'm drawing blanks, but still, that's a pretty tough schedule. Anytime, really. Within that conference and within that division of the SEC West,
it's tough anyways. It's just we're being critical of Alabama. Honestly.
Oh yeah,
they're probably just gonna run the table and just show us all up.
They're my number 1 team for a reason. I'm not sleeping because, and that's another thing that we're going to talk about here is, of course, when we talk about the Alabama-Miami game. Now, going into the games this weekend, with what we have starting tomorrow with Ohio State at Minnesota. What do you think about that game? I know Ohio State's a 14-point favorite going into that game at Minnesota. Is Ohio State on upset alert?
They could be because they got that new quarterback. They got a new quarterback. They're like every other. It seems like there's a lot of turnover this year. All the studs that we've been watching the past 2 and 3 years, they're gone. They're in the
I mean,
NFL.
man, that receiving core though, old Ola, bro. I mean, listen, I love that receiving core.
They're
Let me
good.
just go ahead and say that right now. I love that receiving core. Now replacing a quarterback, replacing a guy like Justin Fields. Yeah, I mean, what I could see happening is with Ohio State at Minnesota, I could see them kind of starting off slow and gaining their footing as they go on. I think Ohio State eventually wins the game. You could see it like a 38-20 game or 38-24 game or somewhere in that general vicinity of a game.
I think Minnesota comes out ready to play just because it's the start of the football season at home. It's a big game for them. I think, and they got I love their coach. Is it PJ Fleck?
PJ Fleck, yeah.
PJ Fleck.
Row the boat, baby.
Yeah, row the boat. They're going to be ready. But yeah, Ohio State gets the dub. They're not losing quite yet.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Alabama, number 1 Alabama versus number 14 Miami. Does Miami have a shot at all in a neutral site game? I think this is in Atlanta. I'm pretty sure. So
they have a good receiver. They have a kid this year, the nice big-bodied receiver. And if that kid can have a breakout year, they can compete. But no, they're not there yet.
Okay.
Miami's just not ready.
Let me tell you this stat here, and I said this earlier in the show as well. I want to read this off to you and tell me what you think. Hold on one second. Let me get it pulled up here. All right, so this is going off the last 4 times Alabama's played a neutral site ACC team to start the season. All right. I'll put it up here on the screen as well so everybody can read it again. The Crimson Tide have not only beaten ACC teams badly in neutral site openers since 2013, they've sucked the life out of them the rest of the season. In 4 such openers, 2013 Virginia Tech, 2017 Florida State, 2018 Louisville, and 2019 Duke, the Tide have won by an average of 29.5 points a game. The only team to stay within 3 touchdowns is Florida State when they lost 24-7. Each of those 4 ACC teams have went on to lose at least 4 or 5 games that season. So, I mean, going off the last 4 games, I'm not saying Miami's going to get blown out, but I mean, Alabama's a 19-point favorite.
That's an amazing stat to me. Just to go on, I don't care. Yeah, win by 20 or 19 points. I can believe that. But the teams are losing 5 games in the season. That's crazy. That's a crazy stat.
I mean, think about it. I know Florida State came in that season highly ranked.
That's when they fell off a cliff, though.
Yeah, that was when old Francois got hurt. You know what I'm saying? You had that, and I can't remember what the other teams' rankings were, but I'm pretty sure they were ranked of some sort. But I mean, here's the thing. Do I think Miami's going to have a landslide after that? No. But is it possible? Yes.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, if you look at the schedule they have after that, you have Appalachian State and Michigan State following. So
those are tough games.
Yeah, and I think let me see. Yeah, usually, I mean, I don't know if they're home or away, but yeah, Appalachian State. We know about Appalachian State.
No, we know what they can do to.
We know what they can do on that. I mean, we'll see. I don't think they're gonna. I got Miami going like 9-3 this year. I don't think they're gonna have like a season like that. But hey, man, if I'm a Miami fan, and at least if you go in there and you play that game well, and stay within the confines of a 7-8 point game, and keep it close, you might have a really good season. Now, if they come in and they get the doors blown off, next year.
It's gonna be a tough. Yeah, their coach
it's gonna be tough.
It'll be a coaching job of the year if he can recover from some losses. That's for sure.
But I mean, I think Miami will have a good season regardless. I really do. I like Miami. I don't like them winning the Atlantic, but I think it's So I mean, but let me see here.
Yeah, I think they'll stay ranked all year at a minimum.
Yeah. All right. Well, staying in the ACC, we have the number 9 Notre Dame at Florida State. Does Florida State have a shot?
No. Notre Dame all day.
I mean, right now Notre Dame's a 7.5 point favorite. Does Notre Dame cover that?
Yeah, I think they do easily. I think that's a moneymaker game right there.
Oof. I mean, I think. I mean, it's a 7:30 game. It's a night game with Doak. I mean, I think Florida State's got a shot, but will they win? No. But I will say this as well. I said this earlier. If Florida State plays them close and early and plays them good throughout the whole game, that's going to be telling for how Florida State season's going to go.
Very true. I like that statement. I'll agree with you on that. If they get off to a bad start and play bad, it could be a long season.
Exactly. I mean, especially, starting a new coach. Because last year, man, any coach that had a brand new team last year, like Mike Norvell, first year, COVID kind of screwed that. So
Yeah,
I look at this as like your first year.
Absolutely.
Because
he missed games and everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, they only played like 9 games last year.
Yeah, they had a rough season.
Yeah. So now another game here, Ole Miss versus Louisville. They play on Monday at 8 p.m. And Ole Miss is a 10-point favorite on that one.
I could see Louisville keeping it close because they're a marquee team that plays good in the spotlight. But yeah, I think Ole Miss gets the job done.
Yeah. I got Ole Miss on that one. Now, and this will kind of tie us into our next segment here. Now, the bonus game of the week. I want to see what you think about Doveview at Maryland. Right now, Doveview is a 3-point favorite, and this is at Maryland. Now, how does Neil Brown fare in year 3 in Morgantown?
I like to think he fares well. He's been recruiting his ass off. He's been putting in the work, trying to get good players in Morgantown.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3-point favorite, that's a pretty fair line. I'm surprised we're not 3-point underdogs, to be completely honest with you, because Maryland, they got I can't remember their coach's name off the top of my head. Came from Alabama, if I'm correct. And he's a good coach. He's building the program up. This is going to be a really tough game for WVU. This is going to tell us where we're at mentally, physically. This is not going to be an easy game. If we go in there thinking we're going to beat Maryland, we're gonna get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, I mean, this will be the first time since 2015 WVU and Maryland has played.
I like it. I love Maryland's old matchup.
I think that's good for WVU, especially with how the Big 12 is right now.
Right. I hope I hope it's a dogfight. I hope it's a close game, and I hope it's like an eye opener for the ACC, sort of like, you know what I mean? I hope it's like a good matchup.
I mean, I don't think it will change the mind of the ACC or anything like that, but what it will do is, man, because right now, I don't think it's really field worthy that's going to keep West Virginia in or out of the ACC. I think it's other issues that you have to really
academics.
I wouldn't even say academics. It's really the revenue of it, and I want to really want to touch on that here in a couple minutes because there's some things I want to see what you think about if you've ever heard of these or anything like that.
Okay.
But with WVU and Maryland, I think I want to say WVU wins. I'm going with WVU on this one.
Well, yeah, I'm picking my team, obviously. But like I said, if we go out there and play bad, and we have a history of going out and losing the first game of the year. Like I almost want to pick Maryland, Virginia Tech. We lost to them first game of the season. Like we have a history of losing to these ACC schools.
Well, I will say this in regards to that Virginia Tech game compared to this, you do have a returning quarterback.
That's very good.
That Virginia Tech game, you had Will Greer starting his very, very first game. So
and they almost won. I was at that.
They did, and they were catching fire there in the second half, and they were, right. I think if there would have been another quarter onto that game, you never know. But now you brought up the ACC, and I released the video last month talking about this. Where do you see, if at all, do you see West Virginia eventually staying? So you look 5 years from now. Do you see them staying in the Big 12 or going to either the ACC or the AAC?
I think we're going to I'm going to be super optimistic, and I think we're going to the ACC. for multiple reasons. Gordon, our president, Gordon Gee, has good ACC connects. Our athletic director has good Southeast connects from the SEC. I really think as long as we can like academically qualify, and then the revenue word that you were slinging around there a second ago, as long as like all the numbers match up, it just makes too much geographically sense for us to be in the ACC. You'd be playing down here in Florida a time or two a year. The North Carolinas, the Maryland, the Pitt. I just think geographically it makes too much sense. We all recruit the same areas. I think it could even help our recruiting. I think we could recruit the Southeast harder, and I think we would pull players out of the Floridas, the Georgias, the Tennessees, the Georgias. You know what I mean? I think it would be beneficial for both sides. And like I said, I'm just going to pull the optimistic card, and I think we get to the ACC. I don't know when, but I think we do.
I mean, I agree with a lot of those points. I think the most perfect fit is the ACC. I mean, when you look at it on paper, you look at it geographically, you look at everything. And, I agree with all those. Now, academics aside, because I feel like that's a completely different topic, because that's a whole other beast within itself. The problem that I see with W going to the ACC, and I think maybe eventually they might get in there, I don't think it's a slam dunk guarantee, especially how things are right now. I think the thing is that will hold them back is what does revenue-wise, what does it bring to the conference? Now, here's what, real quick before everyone gets upset with me here, is if the ACC can bring Notre Dame in at the same time, full-time, not just as a
football school.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? If they could bring them in a full-time member and kind of offset, because it's not just going to be West Virginia only. Because what's going to happen is right now, the Big 12 as a team, you make more money right now as a member of the Big 12 than you do as a member of the ACC.
Right. That's
you make about $5 million more. So what is adding a West Virginia that's not, yes, they have a passionate fan base. Yes, they have an overall great athletic department, a solid football team. Now, I'm not saying they're great. They do have a solid years every now and then. Basketball team, solid, great coach, facility-wise has improved night and day in the last 10 years. Okay?
We even have good soccer teams.
Yeah. I mean, you have the facilities. I mean, it's crazy how much has improved, and that's from that Big 12 money.
And that's what I was getting ready to say. I was going to say we can't thank anybody but the Big 12 for that.
No, I mean, you better thank Oliver Luck if you're going to thank anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. And I don't want it to come off like, man, I don't want them in the ACC. I want them in the ACC, and I hope I'm wrong. I even said that last time. I was like, man, I hope I'm wrong.
What do you think about this? Oliver Luck is leading the Big 12 expansion, or he's advising on it. The Big 12 hired Oliver Luck. So what do you think about that? Do you think that Do you think that keeps us there, or or is it totally unrelated?
I think West Virginia stays. I really do. I think what a lot of the Big 12 problem is, you could look at it, man. It was Texas, it was Oklahoma, man. I think honestly, man, if I'm West Virginia, I'm staying. I'm staying put. Because think about it. Hear me out on this, okay? If I'm West Virginia, think about it. If Texas and Oklahoma leave, all right, that's all that money's got to get divvied up, okay? Get your money while you can, all right? You're still going to be considered a Power 5 member up until 2025 at least, depending on what all happens, who you add and everything like that, which we don't know what exactly is going to happen, all right? If I'm them, I'm staying put right now. Now, we don't know if the ACC is ever going to come calling. You don't know that. I mean, that's
because we got to have a running mate.
Yeah, you're going to have to find somebody. It's not just going to be WVU itself.
No,
it's going to get you in there.
Right.
Yeah. And people like through this whole social media presence. You ever heard of social media presence?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is the most dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Because here's the thing about social media presence, real quick. Let me go ahead and touch this on this. What recruits look at social media presence?
This new generation of kids is different.
I
They're
mean,
social media crazy.
the things that I was seeing was West Virginia's like a top 5, top 10 social media presence of a university, but we ain't getting no 5 stars.
It's
I
very
mean,
true.
Alabama. Do you think a recruit at Alabama gives a shit about social
They're at
media presence?
Alabama because they want to go to the league.
Does Clemson look at that? Does USC look at that? Does Texas look at that? That's what I'm saying. That's the thing. Like I was getting just so much shit thrown at me. Like it was just crazy. Like I mean,
Yeah, this new age of recruiting and how the college sports is transforming and growing into
yeah.
this, it's grown into a business. It's amazing.
Oh man, the NIL and everything. I'm glad these student athletes, these players are getting
I
paid.
love it. I love it.
Yeah, I think they should be able to. In closing, with the whole, with the West Virginia, the ACC, I hope it happens, man. I really do. It's not going to be just an overnight thing, even if. But
Nah,
the problem is though the ACC is going to have to want them. I mean, it's you can all these fan pages can come out and say, "Oh man, we're great for the ACC, we're great for this," but unless the ACC wants you, it's not going to happen. Now, you made a couple points. Who do you think the Big 12 would go after?
well, there's a big list, and I read an article today that that the Big 12, had released, said that there is a lot of interest in schools joining the Big 12. There's been a lot of people reach out, and a lot of quality, applicants, one that deserve a good look, honestly. But some of my main ones, that I think they have to get, like, absolutely have to, they got to get BYU. They have to get UCF. They have to get Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to get Houston. Houston has a huge following, huge fan base. Houston's got big money. The Fertitta brothers. Houston's going to the big. That's my top 4. You could throw the Boise State out there, Memphis for basketball. You said something about FedEx money earlier. SMU. They got solid programs as well.
I agree with 3 of the 4 of the first ones you put, minus Houston. The reason why I don't think Houston would get in is due to the other Texas schools. I don't think because what will happen is if you bring a Houston in or an SMU even, you could say the same thing with Memphis, with Cincinnati, with UCF. Do they really own those markets? No, they don't. Florida State owns those markets. Florida owns those markets. Ohio State owns the Cincinnati market. As much as people want to say that, that Memphis, Houston, Texas A&M more, Texas. But I don't think the Texas schools would really go for it because what that will do is that hurts your recruiting because you're bringing a Houston up and putting
It
them
already hurts them. Houston already pulls recruits.
Imagine if you bring them up though.
Oh, you bring them up, Houston's going to turn into a dog. I'm here to tell you. And Houston's a fun town too. It's a good place where recruits want to live. But their basketball team, dude, their basketball team's good. Their football team's good. They got they make as a good a case for the Big 12 as WVU does for the ACC.
Yeah,
It's just does all the stars align at the end of the day.
Now I think I would not be shocked. Now if I'm the Big 12, I don't stop at 4. No, you have to add more. That's just me.
And that's where I think the water gets deep for the Big 12. If the Big 12 can only eliminate Oklahoma and Texas and add some schools, they could survive. But dude, if you get OU leaving, Texas leaving, you get WVU to leave, I think then you get Kansas and Iowa State with their academic profile. I think you got them going to the Big 10. The Big 12 could be in big, big trouble if that happens. They are no longer a Power 5 conference.
Oh no. They're already on fringe right now.
Right.
Now, listen, man, I think if I'm these Big 12 schools, I think you have to trust each other though. I really do. And now that, it's out of the room, Texas and Oklahoma are gone, whatever that may be, whether it's next year or 2025 or whenever it is. I think you have to trust each other. And I think I feel like now, because you have a common interest, you have to be able to work together. And I think that will happen.
I really do,
Right.
man. I really am confident on how the Big 12 will do in the future. Because basically, right now, what's the worst that's going to happen? The worst has already happened. Texas and Oklahoma have already left. I don't think there's anything worse that could happen to the conference. I really don't.
No, you're right. Like I pretty much just named like the worst case scenario,
Yeah.
but then it gets to a point where you're right. They just all got to trust in each other, and we got to invest in some of these other schools, possibly expand 4 teams
Yeah.
rather than 2 teams, and they'll build up. I think they'll be okay.
Oh yeah, man. I think. But yeah, man. But we'll go ahead and end on that and everything. Hey, man, I want to thank you for coming on. We'll get you on throughout the season and everything too.
Absolutely, bring me back. I'm always down to come on. You have a great show. I watch it. I tell people about it. We like it. We share it, and like I said, it's a great show.
Well, man, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. But like I said, I'll keep your top 10 here. We're gonna see how it goes. Keep your win losses for those games that you picked up and everything.
I will.
And,
I'll check that out, and we'll see how I end up.
and if you get any hate mail from any Ohio State fans, that's on you, man.
I don't care. I don't care. They'll be okay, man. Those Ohio State fans are all right. You never know. I could see Ohio State in the playoffs, so they don't need to. They
Well,
show me what you got. Show
yeah,
me
man.
what you got. If you're in Ohio State, show me what you got. We'll see.
But yeah, man, like I said, we'll get you on here in a few weeks. We'll catch back up with games and everything. Whenever you want to come on, man, you're more than welcome to come on, and we're more than happy to have you.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Take care, Ryder.
Right. I want to welcome everyone back in. This is the final part of the episode. Now, each week, I'm going to be doing a segment called Where I Was Right and Where I Was Wrong. Now, we all know no one's perfect. We don't know what's going to happen, whether it's picking these games or conference realignment. We do not know. Now, before I get into the segment, my final part here, I do want to say this. Now, I understand that college football is a very passionate, bunch of passionate fan bases. I understand that, and that's what makes this game great. That's what makes the sport great, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is. College has some of the most passionate fans, and that's why I love it. That's why I love it. I love it more than the NFL. But please be respectful in the comments. I don't listen. I'm not the type that's going to be interactive in these comments. I sometimes will and sometimes I won't. People ask me how come you don't comment or anything like that. I just don't do that. I don't get on Facebook and I don't go into the comment wars, anything like that. It's something I just don't do. Now, I love interaction. I want interaction on this channel. But please make it in a respectful way. Please make it sourceful. You don't have to put sources out or anything like that, but don't just put gibberish out there that you read somewhere that's not credible. Okay, a lot of news goes on around now. You can get news just about anywhere. Now, is it true? We don't know. But in that, I want to go off first and say where the season really hasn't started. I haven't really got anything right yet, but I do want to say where I was wrong. And any time that I am wrong on really anything, whether it's something I said on this channel or anything, I like to be, hey man, I was wrong. And I'll be more than happy to come out and say I was wrong. Now, I do want to say I was wrong. Now, this is not college football related, but this is NFL related. There was a gentleman who's from my hometown, Charleston, West Virginia. Went to a high school around here, went to Louisville, played college football there, and went undrafted and was picked up by the team that I root for, the Atlanta Falcons. His name is Dorian Etheridge, if I pronounce that correctly. He ended up balling out this preseason, and he ended up making the 53-man roster, which I said he wouldn't. And I was wrong, and I do apologize about that. I was wrong. And I wanted to say congratulations to him. You worked your tail off, you earned it, and I look forward to watching you on Sundays in the red and black. And it's pretty awesome to see someone come from this hometown in this area and to make it. It is awesome. It's fucking awesome. Pardon my French, but it is awesome. So congratulations to Dorian. I am looking forward to, like I said, watching you play on Sundays. But with that being said, I do want to thank everyone who watched the channel, watched the show today. I look forward to a great season, very exciting season. And like I said, don't forget to share, subscribe, and like. It really helps the channel out more ways than you can imagine. But you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the football because it is here to stay until at least January, February. So I'll see you guys next week.